Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, when do we get compiler errors in Java? Let me answer this question with lots of examples. So, first of all, in Java, why do we get these compiler errors? We get these compiler errors in Java when we don't follow the Java's syntax. Okay, if we write the Java code not according to the syntax of Java, then Java is going to give you this compiler errors. Okay, when you compile such Java code containing the syntax errors in Java programs, we are going to get the compiler errors. So, fine. Let me give some examples, okay, to show that, what are the different type of compiler errors we get in Java when we don't follow the syntax or rules and regulations of Java. The first example is Java statements not ending with semicolon symbol. Okay, if you don't end the statements in Java with semicolon symbol, then you are going to get the compiler errors in Java. Okay, so I'll take the help of Eclipse IDE. In Eclipse IDE editor, guys, Eclipse IDE is very smart that this compilation activity will happen automatically. You don't have to manually compile. For example, if you don't have this Eclipse IDE editor, you have to manually compile. For example, I'll go to one location and show you what happens if you don't have Eclipse IDE. If I'm not using the Eclipse IDE and if I'm simply using this text file, notepad file or something to write the Java code, you see, if I open this notepad file, you see there is some Java code written here. Okay. Now, so here, if I have to compile this code in this Java file, I have to do it manually, guys. Okay. So I have to type CMD here. I'll open the command prompt. Without the Eclipse IDE, I'm trying to, run this Java code. In order to run this Java code, first I have to compile it, okay? So in order to compile it, it will not happen automatically in this, you see, no errors. For example, if I do any mistakes in this notepad file, if I remove this semicolon symbol, let's say, okay, and save this, I don't get any compiler errors here. In this editor, I'm not getting any compiler errors, even though I'm not following the syntax of Java that all the statements in Java should end with semicolon symbol, okay? So what I have to do is, let's say if I remove the semicolon symbol, the editor is not giving me any compiler errors. So if I still want to see the errors, compiler errors in this Java program, if I have to find it, I have to do it manually by opening the command prompt at the location where this Java file having the program code, having some syntax problems are there. And here I have to manually run a command. Okay, to compile this code in this Java file, I have to run this Java C followed by colors.java. Okay, like this I have to run this command. Java C means Java compiler. When I press enter, if there are any syntax mistakes or errors in this Java code, then I'll get something like this: error semicolon expected at the end of this statement. Okay, one compiler error came, but the editor is not smart enough to find this compiler error. I have to do it like this. Okay, if I correct this one, okay, if I correct this one, I'll not get the compiler error anymore. Okay, if I save this again and if I run the same Java seek, this time I'll not get the compiler error because I rectified it. Okay, but ultimately the editor is not giving me immediately what the compiler error, because it's a notepad editor. It doesn't have any IntelliSense kind of stuff to compile automatically and tell us that in what portion of the Java you have the compiler error. Okay, so I have to check with the help of Java C command. Okay, then I can run the code and whatever I want. Okay, but in Eclipse IDE, it's not like that, guys. It will happen automatically. Okay, the compiler errors will be able to detect instantly because Eclipse IDE, when you keep writing the code in the background, Eclipse IDE will keep compiling the code, whatever you are writing. You don't have to run separate commands like Java C, etc. to compile the code. The you know this Eclipse IDE will take care of that. Okay, so I'll just create a new class to demonstrate different compiler errors in Java. So compiler errors demo. Okay, fine. After creating this class in Java, I'll create a main method inside this. Okay, inside this main method, I'll write first example. What is the first example? Java statements not ending with semicolon symbol. Inside this main method, I'll write some Java statement. Let's say print statement I'll take. Okay. system.out.println, the shortcut sys o control space. If you press, it will, the print statement will automatically come. Okay, this print statement. Okay, so I'll write some text inside a main method, or some text I'll write. You are not getting any compiler error now because this particular statement is properly ending with semicolon symbol. Okay, but if I remove this semicolon symbol, immediately I'm going to get a compiler error, syntax error, that's compiler error. Insert semicolon. Do you have to run separate command like Java C to find the compiler errors in this code? Eclipse IDE is very smart that the moment I have removed the semicolon symbol, it's giving me the compiler here, error here, because automatically the compilation of the code is happening by Eclipse IDE for this particular code. Okay, again, when I put this semicolon back, the compiler error will go off. Okay, so that's the first example. Now let me give you the second example. I'll give a lot of examples in this session. Just see what you can learn. Java is case sensitive, guys. If you don't follow the case sensitiveness of Java, then also you'll get the compiler errors. So whatever the things, predefined stuff that are there in Java code, which are in lowercase should be in lowercase, and which are in uppercase should be in uppercase. For example, this public keyword is there in Java. If I make this lowercase p to upper p, immediately I'm going to get a compiler error because it is expecting lowercase public. Syntax error, it should not be capital B, it should be lowercase p. Or another way where from lowercase I change it to uppercase, I got the compiler error, right? From uppercase I'll change it to lowercase, still I'll get the, you see, system is a predefined class in Java, and if I change the first letter of the system class to lowercase, yes, I'm getting the compiler errors. Okay, it's not able to identify this. Okay, just change it back to yes, the errors will go off. Okay, anything in Java which is these keywords, or some predefined classes, predefined methods in Java which are in lowercase should be in lowercase, uppercase should be in uppercase. Okay, according to what Java is expecting, we have to write those things in that particular case. If you change the case of the predefined stuff in Java, immediately you are going to get what? Compiler errors. That's the second example. Third example is opening and closing braces not matching. Okay, you see the class is starting here, start is ending here. This main method is starting here, main method is ending here. How many opening braces are there? Two. How many closing braces are there? Two. If I remove one of them, immediately I'm going to get the compiler error. Syntax error, insert semicolon to complete class body. Okay, somewhere semicolon is missing, so mismatch of the insert that curly brace, closing curly brace, so not semicolon brace. Okay, so this opening curly braces should match with the closing curly braces, otherwise you'll get the compiler error. Then fourth example is unreachable code in programs. For example, I create a method, or I'll create something like this. Okay, if I'll say int a is equal to 5. Okay, int a is equal to 5, system.out.println, I'm printing that variable a. Here, shall I write here or any other place? I'll write this in a different method otherwise. Okay, it will be better if I write in a different method. Public void sample1, some method I'm creating. Okay, and here I'll say int a is equal to 5. Here I'll print out the value of a, and here I'll simply say return a. What's happening? It's saying that void methods cannot return a value. Okay, here I'm trying to return, I have to change the return type to int. That's fine, but I'm getting an error here. Why? Everything is fine. What the problem is, when you, in the methods, if you return something, the execution will stop there, guys. Okay, when a particular methods return something, that will be the last statement of the execution of that particular method, guys. The remaining statements after that return statement of the method won't be executed. Okay, the statements which are coming after the return statement of a particular method won't be executed. This unreachable code, this is nothing but the unreachable code, guys. Okay, so you see, unreachable code, this statement won't be executed because return a will stop the execution of the method and return this value 5 to the method calling statement. Okay, and this statement won't be executed. So such kind of situations where some code inside the particular things are not reachable, then we are going to get this kind of unreachable code errors. Okay, I'll just comment it out so that error will go. And there is one more thing. For example, I'll create some loop, let's say, for int I is equal to 0, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Okay, I'll write something like this. I'll write break statement here and say system.out.println. a value of I want to print. So what's happening here also? Similar to return statement, here when I write the break statement, what happens? No matter what, I is 0, 0 is less than or equal to 5 is 2, will go inside the for loop and break statement is coming and will come out of the for loop. So what's the use of writing this statement? This unreachable code again. This code is also unreachable. Similar to return statement, this code is also unreachable, guys. Okay. So in all these cases, if there is some unreachable code also, if there is some unreachable code in the programs also, you will get compiler errors. Okay. So there may be several examples I can create, guys. These two examples with the return statement and break statement. If you can understand, that's all good. Okay. Then next one, I'll just clear out this stuff which is not required anymore. Okay. Fine. I'll just change it to white to explain the other examples. Fine. Fine. So unreachable code also will get compiled. Example 5 is using undefined variables in Java. Okay, if you are using some undefined variables in Java. So let's say here I would like to say system.out.println a. Have I declared this variable? No. Or else I'll say a is equal to 5. Still, this also will get the compiler error because a cannot be, we have not declared this variable. So if you are trying to use some undefined or undeclared variables in Java, then also you will get the compile. After declaring only you have to use. Or if you are trying to declare later, let's say int a. You see, you are assigning before and declaring later. In Java, first we have to declare and then we have to assign. This statement should come after this one. If the order is not good, or if you are trying to use some undefined or undeclared variable, in all the cases, you will get compiler errors. Okay. There's another thing. Then accessing non-static stuff inside static methods. Okay. So for example, this main method is a static method. I'll create a variable here, int a is equal to 5 variable. Okay. A global variable. This is a it's not a static variable, it is an instance variable. And in the static main method, if I try to print this variable a, if I try to access this variable a, I'll get the compiler error. Why? Because in Java, static methods can only access static stuff. That means the variables and methods which are accessed in the methods which are of static type should also be of static. If I put static keyword here, the error will be resolved. You see, I can access now. Static variables can be accessed inside the static methods. What about this method? Can I call this method from this main method? Sample1 class, can I call like this? No, I can call and cannot call because this method is not a static method. From the static methods, I can only call the static. Okay, from the static method, I have to call only the static methods. I can only access the static variables and static methods. When I make it static, the error will be gone. You see, error is gone. So that is another place where you will get the compiler errors. Okay, accessing non-static stuff inside static methods also, you will get compiler errors. Then the next example is mismatched data types. Okay, you will get compiler errors in case of mismatched data types. For example, here. So here inside this main method, I'll create a variable with int data type. I'll declare this with int data type. I'll try to assign a string literal. Is it possible? Can I assign a string literal data to the variable which is declared with int data type? This is a mismatched type, right? Mismatched data types. Okay, so I have to assign only the integer values, then only the errors will not come. If I try to assign any other stuff other than this integer values and all, okay, like Arun and all, in that case, you're going to type mismatch errors are coming, okay, cannot convert from string to int. That is another example, guys, where you will get compiler errors in Java. Not closing the method parenthesis, okay, that means you see, there is a method here, that is sample1 method. If I'm not closing this parenthesis, this method parenthesis, if I'm not closing this parenthesis symbol, starting is there, but closing is not there. In that case also, insert closing parenthesis to overcome this error is coming. Okay, compiler error is coming because I have not closed the parenthesis. Now the error is gone, right? I have to close and open once. Sometimes, okay, fine, it's gone now. Okay, next. Example 9, not closing singular double quotes. For example, if I write a print statement here, and here I will start the double quotes and end the double quotes. Inside main method, if I say, inside main method, if I say, and if I remove this closing closing double quotes. You see what's happening? String literal is not properly closed by a double quote. Okay, you have to close it with double quote. Then only error will be gone. Fine. Then next one, passing incorrect number of arguments while calling methods. Okay, so let's say there is a method and it has some int a, int b is there. Okay, now if I have to call this particular sample one method, if I call something like this sample one, what will happen? Compiler error will come because you are calling the method, but this particular method has two parameters. So how many arguments have to pass? If you are not passing the arguments here, two parameters, they're expecting two arguments. If you are trying to call the method without passing the arguments, then you are going to get the compiler error. So this compiler error will go when I pass proper number of arguments. You see, when I say 4, 5, 4, you see, the error is gone. If I pass only one argument, again the error will come because two parameters are there, two arguments have to pass. In that case also, you'll get the compiler errors. Then example 11, calling incorrect user-defined or predefined methods. Okay, if I am calling some method, okay, a predefined method or user-defined method if I'm trying to, okay, for example, system.out.println, okay, here println is one of the predefined method in Java. Println is one of the predefined method in Java, guys. Okay, println is a predefined method in Java. So either we have to use print, there is one predefined method known as print, or there is a system.out.print, error is gone, or we have a predefined method known as println. Okay, either I can use print or I can use println. But other than this, if I say print ABC, this method doesn't exist. It's not a, you are trying to call a predefined a method which is not there in Java. Okay, in this case also you'll get, okay, undefined for the type print stream kind of error is coming. Either change it to print or println it is saying. Okay, if I change it back, it will go. Or you see, there is a user-defined method sample one. If I try to call sample two, which doesn't exist in this program, then also I'll get, if you're trying to call a user-defined method which is not there in the program, then also I'll get a compiler error. The method is undefined for the type compiler error. In this particular class, there is no such kind of method. Okay. Then checked exception. There is some concept known as checked exceptions, guys. So if I say, if I write something like this, file input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream. If I write something like this, now I'll import this predefined class in Java, and here the constructor is saying that I have to provide a file. Okay, so I'll say file is equal to new file. I'll simply give some abc.txt file. Okay, then I'll import this file from. Okay, I'll import this file from java.io package. Okay, and now this constructor statement here have to give this file. Okay, whatever the file I said, right? If I say file one, let's say I'll say file one. Now still I am getting the error. Even after providing the file also, I'm getting the error for this constructor. However, the most, you see, unhandled exception type, file not found exception. There is a possibility of getting file not found exception. What if this particular file doesn't exist at the particular location you provided? If you don't find this abc.txt file, then there's a possibility that this code will give you a runtime error. So compiler is giving you the suggestion here. Okay, your compiler is kind of becoming smart and telling you that there is a possibility of getting an exception. Okay, so handle this exception beforehand, it is saying. For such kind of checked exceptions also, we'll get compiler errors. Okay, how to handle them? Either I have to mute the I have to make the compiler silent by adding this one, or I have to surround this particular statement with a try catch block and handle the exception if it comes in real time. Okay, during the runtime. Otherwise, when I run this code during, if I don't handle this exception and the file is not at the particular location and all right, in that case, I'll get a runtime error. Okay, file not found exception or some kind of error will come. Okay. So in case of checked exceptions, if the compiler is suggesting you that there is a possibility of exceptions when you run this code and try asking you to handle the exception beforehand, if you are not handling it or something, right, then you will get a compiler error. Next one, updating the value of the final variable. Okay, next case is the, if you are trying to update the value of a final variable, final int a is equal to final int a. Okay, and I'll assign a value 5 here. Okay, first value I can assign. This 5 is going to be the final value of this variable a because final keyword is used. But if I try to say A is equal to 10, immediately I'm going to get an error because a variable which is specified with final keyword, the value of that particular variable cannot be updated, guys. If I remove final, no problem. I can update the value of the variable if it is not final there. You see, A is there, A is equal to 5, A is 10, no problem. It can be updated. But if I put final here, I should not be able to update the value. Okay, it should not, the program should not allow me to, final local variable cannot be assigned. It must be a blank and not compound assignment, what, etc. You cannot update the value, simple words. Okay. And that is another case where you'll get the compiler error. So last two more examples, guys. Writing Java statements outside methods. Okay. If you try to write this Java statements, for example, there's a print statement in like a sample text. Okay. Print statement is there. If I take this print statement and write it outside the method, then I'll get the compiler error. Okay. Should not, there are, apart from the variable declarations and initializations, if you are trying to, this statement, no problem. But other type of statements like print statements or B is equal to C plus D, such kind of statements, if you try to write outside the methods, then you are going to get the compiler error and you will not be even able to understand what the error is saying. Okay. So it's better you remember that don't write the such kind of statements like print statements and similar kind of statements outside the methods. Okay. Then you will get the compiler errors that even you will not be able to understand what to do. Okay. Method having return type, but the method is not returning anything. Okay. For example, there is a method here, sample1 method, the return type is int. But this method is not returning anything. Okay. The method is not returning anything. If the method has the return type and this particular method is not returning, you see there is no logic written here inside this method as if such it is returning some integer value here because return type is int. But here the error is coming saying that this method must return a result of int type. So the moment you say return 5, something like that, then the error will be gone. Okay. Or there may be some situations where the return type is void mentioned and you are trying to return an integer value. It's not matching, right? You are trying to return an integer value, but return type is void. Void means this method is not returning anything. In that case also, you'll get a compiler. Void methods cannot return a value. You change it back to int. Okay, then error will be gone. So, or method having return type, method having return statement, but no return type. Okay, but no return type. In that case also, you'll get the compiler. And many more examples I can create, guys. Okay, so a lot of examples I gave as an answer for this particular question, guys. Okay, so these are the basic ones, general ones that you come across. Okay, these are the basic general compiler errors that you'll get or come across while working with Java, guys. So and I showed you not only the how the compiler errors are coming and what to do to resolve the errors also I have covered in this session. Okay, so with practical demonstration, I've answered this particular question for you. That is, when do we get compiler errors in Java? We get compiler errors in Java when we don't follow the syntax of Java. If you don't follow the rules and regulations of Java while writing the Java code, all these kind of rules and regulations, few I demonstrated in this session, right? If you don't follow any of this, apart from that, many more may be there. Okay, if you don't follow such kind of rules and regulations in Java, then in Java programs, you'll get compiler errors. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.